Hey everybody, I finished Tekken 8 not too long ago, and I have to say, wow, I am not a fighting game kind of person. I've played my fair share of Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, and of course the original Tekkens. I'm kind of speechless, and I almost didn't want to make this video because there is so much good music in Tekken. It actually freaked me out. I thought it was going to be right here, kind of average in your typical fighter game music, and then I got there and I was like, I'm in danger. The music in Tekken 8 surpassed every single expectation I had for what a fighting game's music could sound like. The sheer variety of tracks in this game are absolutely nutty. You get opera, you get classical music, you get Baroque, you get rock, you get EDM, you even get a little tiny bit of country, maybe. So it's actually crazy the musical diversity that exists within Tekken 8. And what I want to do is I want to take a look at some of my favorite pieces and talk about why they were so great, and hopefully you enjoyed these as well. But I'd love to know in the comments below what your favorite pieces were from Tekken 8, because man, there's just so many. Of course, no one's going to deny that the opening of Tekken 8 is unbelievably inspired and exciting, and it motivates us to get up out of bed and start the day. I just love the way that the opening, we start and it's very, very introspective, very chatty, very thinking about things, and I don't know how to get started with my life. And then right around minute 50, we just run and we just take off, and it's just so satisfying. Here, take a listen. Our destiny is my connection now. A feeling in my soul. This build-up is crazy. Nice whisper there, and then we go. Oh, pow. And then we slow it down here at the very end. Bum, ba, bum, bum, bum. It's just so good. And I think that that's such a prime example of a piece that's written with the intention to get us up out of our bed, like I said earlier, to get us excited, to make us feel galvanized, to give us the opportunity to say, no, I'm not going to look back. I'm moving forward, and I'm going to crush this thing. There's another thing that happens in chapter 1. In the OST, it's called Jin Strikes, but there's something really cool in the beginning of chapter 1 in the main story. This is, I believe it's during the encounter with Jin and Kazuya, and it literally sounds like something out of Carmina Burana, O Fortuna. I don't know if you know that piece. Listen to the way that this rhythm is so tight, and it makes us just really excited. And what's so exciting about that is that we've got electric guitar, we have the EDM quality in the background, we have proper sopranos singing these really tight rhythmic movements. And what's really cool to me about Tekken 8 is that you may not like the first version, but because every track has two versions, the regular normal and then the climax version, you may be like, well, I didn't like the normal of Tamashii, let's say, but you're gonna love the climax version, right? And it's really fun that there is actually something in here for kind of everybody's ear and what we prefer and what we don't prefer. So for instance, I prefer Tamashii, but I don't necessarily like the climax version. But just listen to this. I love the singing in here. And actually, when this track appears in the game, in the story mode, that's such a satisfying moment, because in that moment we are protecting someone we care about. And so that soprano over top, it's just, it really feels like, oh, I have to protect this person. And I love that we hear that even in this music. And what's really great about that is that there's actually even a bit of sensuality in there. Like, it's just wonderful. My favorite track probably of the entire game is absolutely, and it's not because I'm Italian, but it's the Colosseum of Fate, both versions. I think partly because it's composed by Goshina. I've just heard his compositions in many other places. I can't remember off the top of my head. Colosseum of Fate is so fucking good. I love the rhythm in here. Again, and I think the reason why Colosseum of Fate for me is really, really great is that I love the rhythm. I love this sort of like strong propulsion in the rhythm. I also really love the way that the strings are bouncing. Bum, ba-dum, bum, 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 ba-dum, bum. And then as we fast forward and we get to the singers, what I really like is that these sound like classical musicians that are singing, almost like opera singers, but not quite. But they're muted, so they sound like this. And I love the way that the classical movement is happening in the background, even though it's muffled. It's really interesting to me, and it's like very diverse from what I'm normally listening to, at least in my opera days, which was much more based on pure classical singing, which to me is intriguing because it's very different from what I'm used to. Like, that's classical movement, but like there's an intensity in the rhythm. Like, that's, and then the horns, the strings in here, the flutes. I don't know. That's really hard to not enjoy to me. That was a real banger. Like I mentioned earlier, one of the reasons why I really like Tekken 8's soundtrack is the sheer variety. I'm a big fan of EDM music. I discovered that on this channel, that EDM music just kind of hits me in the face and it just feels like just the most satisfying thing. Into the Stratosphere is so incredibly satisfying because of the sheer rhythm. And I think everything in this game is so propulsion forward that it's really exciting to listen to. And so, honestly, even though this is a music review, it's mostly a celebration of how damn good this soundtrack is. It's absolutely nuts. But, like, here's another prime example about how good this is. Like, listen. Just the sheer build-up here. Pull all the way back, and then we go. Swell. That rhythm is just so satisfying. And then the strings come in like this. You really feel like you're fighting against a god. Like you're so powerful, and this is a do or die moment. The drums come in. The horns come in. Nice pull all the way back, and then swell. That hits stupid hard. And I think part of the reason why it hits so intensely and why it's such a satisfying track is that we get that classical singing, that classical compositional structure, but then on the other side, we have this incredibly ferocious, modern beat pattern that pushes us through. And so we get so you get like organic mixed with inorganic, and those two just create this perfect baby that is your emotions and feelings. It's so satisfying. Another track I really like that kind of caught me off guard is Ortiz Farm, but I actually prefer the Golden Meadow Climax over the Golden Meadow regular, and it's just so fun to me. It's such a fun track. The horns come in, baby, and we just sort of just like, yeah. I love this track in particular because it's so like exciting. The trumpets, the way that the trumpets are main center there, melody-wise. It's just so good. The stank on that horn there. So this is the thing, right? So often when we listen to video game music, especially when it's based on Western classical writing, we automatically are like, especially here on this channel, we could be like, yeah, you know, you could listen to that in a symphony hall, right? Like, that's cool. But rarely do we, with exceptions, of course, rarely do we get music that you'd be like, I want to hear this at a club at 3 a.m. and I'm just dancing. There's strobe lights. I'm like, and I think that speaks to the energy that's required and the energy that exists within this music. And obviously we need energy in a fighting game in order to feel like what we're doing has meaning and that we're actually like engaging in combat. There's a sense of virility and a sense of enthusiasm and a sense of like mind-blowingly exciting passion that I think spills out of us when we listen to this kind of music. But then one track later, Twilight Party, you get fucking jazz. Like, it feels improvisatory. It feels like it's being made up on the spot. But you still get some EDM in there, right? Still get some high-octane percussion and rhythm. That's like such good house music. Bam, bam, ba, down, bow. Right there. The rhythmic structure is so exciting. And then we pull all the way back and we have a reset, but there's a swell in the background. Oh, it's just insane. And then the climax one is just the same. It's the same intensity, but it's just like so satisfying. The intensity just can't be beat. It's such a, I mean, again, this soundtrack, and again, I call this a music review, but this soundtrack truly is something totally different than anything else I've heard in a fighting game, and it is so mind-blowingly exciting. So, of course, as a classical musician, how could I possibly leave a Tekken 8 review without talking about one of my favorite and weirdest pieces in the bunch, Baroque Attack from Elegant Palace. It's Baroque. Except with a fat beat. What I love about this track is that it's very, very plainly Baroque music. Like, that is fundamentally Baroque music. And yet, we throw on a fat beat and we add elements of modern EDM and house and trance, whatever writing, and you get this, like, shockingly modern soundscape, even though it's truly a piece of Baroque music that could have been written by Bach. It's just crazy. And then climax, of course. Listen to those strings go, and you got the little... Nice swell there. Oh, listen to that harpsichord there. Love it. It's so playful. Dun, 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 dun. You still hear the sense of danger in here too, though. Bum, 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 bum. Oh, listen to how virtuosic that playing is, despite the EDM beat in here, huh? That's just majestic, isn't it? It just goes so hard. Anyway, all I'm going to say about Tekken 8's soundtrack to finish up this video is holy crap, you owe yourself, just if you hate fighting games, don't even play it. Just go listen to the soundtrack. This soundtrack, if you like video game music, this soundtrack is stupid. This soundtrack is so good, and it was honestly one of my favorite gaming experiences I've had in a long time. If you're not into fighting games at all, I highly recommend playing Tekken 8 regardless, because it's made very easy for beginners. I'm not a fighting game person. I had a great time with the story mode and even didn't get my ass handed to me too bad online. If you're not a fan of fighting games, explore the soundtrack, do yourself and your soul some good, and have a good dance night. It's just worth it. If you like this sort of stuff, there's lots more videos on the channel. Feel free to like, subscribe, and as always, thanks a ton, and I'll see you later.